Thank you so much, Homaira, for being at You Are Human. It's been quite a few months that we've been wanting to do this. And I'm so, so glad that we are finally doing this.
Yeah, me too. Me too. It's taken a while. I think the pandemic has not helped, but I'm really glad too. So nice to be here.
Thank
And
you so
thank you for
much.
the opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you. The pleasure is all mine. Homaira, I would want to begin with introducing you, and I will weave in a question. The reason why I'm doing this, you will know why. Okay. You are a women's well-being and leadership development coach. Your work is based on the science of positive psychology and coaching psychology. Through your postgraduate research on women's confidence, you have created a roadmap for women's flourishing that gets to the
Mhm.
heart of what it means to live a joyful and meaningful life.
Mhm.
Your work is a dynamic blend of the head and the heart.
Mhm.
You have written for Muscat Daily in Oman, and I am so, so, so amazed to know that you've even written for the Forbes and the Huffington Post. And now you are actually even working on your book, which should be out probably in 2022, correct?
Yeah, yeah,
Yes, yes.
2022 March. Yeah,
Yeah, and thank you so much
fingers
that you
crossed.
made time. Yeah, fingers crossed that you made time, for this interview as well, from all your busy schedule. Now, the reason why I did this entire introduction, while I want to ask you my first question is because you are the somebody I think every woman wants to come to, to understand themselves and to, uh, share their problems with and get some direction in life. But you would define yourself as a paradox.
Mhm.
So, what are the truths that you are contradicting about yourself?
Okay, so first off, thank you so much for that amazing introduction. I didn't know you were talking about me. But defining myself as a paradox, Jagruti, I may have mentioned that it's more that it's not just me who's a paradox.
Hmm.
I see all of us as a paradox, and I see that women in particular have more of that paradox.
Right.
But we're all a paradox. By a paradox, I mean we have a head, but we have a heart, we have fears, and we
Yes.
have dreams.
Yes.
We have the intellect, and we have the emotions. We
Yeah.
have, intuition, and we have rationality. So that is the paradox that I mean. It's not necessarily that you're contradicting any truths about yourself.
Right.
It's not about suppressing any of those truths. It's the opposite, actually. It's about living with all those truths.
Right.
And in a way, the more we get to explore ourselves and know our paradox, the more we can operate in the world,
Hmm.
because the world is a paradox.
Yes,
The
absolutely.
complexity we have inside of us is reflective of the complexity around us.
Yes, yes.
So so that is what I really mean by a paradox. It's not about contradiction, it's about living in alignment with all these different aspects of yourself.
It's like the yin and the yang and the positive and the negative. We need to have that balance. Yeah.
Yes, exactly, exactly. The yin and the yang, and yeah, the positive, negative, and not even to label any of those things.
Right.
It's a huge. I think we've done ourselves a huge disfavor by starting to label even emotions. I'm feeling down, or I'm feeling unhappy, and all of those things just becomes negative. Don't be unhappy. Well, if that's what you're feeling, it's what you're feeling, and suppressing that does you more harm than it does you good. You need to understand what you're feeling. Emotions, instead of labeling them, they're just
Yeah.
messages from your inner world, and the more you're able to recognize them, understand what are they telling you about yourself or about anything in
Hmm.
that moment, the better it is for us.
But don't you think with labeling, you can actually identify what it is? Or what you're trying to say is with labeling, we tend to box them up and not see the bigger picture.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By labeling, I would say, yeah, you're absolutely right. I would say categorizing them
Hmm.
as
Hmm.
good and bad.
Yes.
And
Yes.
yeah,
Yes.
and that is where the problem arises. And sometimes, and I see this perhaps, well, everywhere actually, we kind of have started worshiping the idea of happiness sometimes. I need to be happy. I need to be happy. Why am I not happy? I need to be happy. And that is really not good, because it
Yes.
suppresses a lot.
Yeah, and it's happiness to me. I think it's more of a state of being rather than an emotion, you know? I mean, it's not that you get something and you get happy. Sometimes I feel it's just your own mental state. There are some people who are just calm and composed, and within they are so much at peace and happiness.
Yeah. There's a wonderful book, and I can't remember the name of the author, but the book is called Happy for No Reason. And I think even if you don't read the book, the mantra is quite good, Happy for No Reason.
Absolutely. Yeah, I'm definitely going to, download a copy of it or
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
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 Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that.
Mm.
Because you're so much into coaching women specifically. So today I'm going to ask you some women centric questions. All right. I'm going to get all my doubts cleared today. Okay. So, as women, what
Yeah.
defines our self worth and self esteem? Is it like some attributes or possessions that build our self worth? Or like happiness, is it a state of being? Is it a state of mind?
Yeah, no, that's a lovely, lovely question. And I think, there's even in the science of
Hmm.
self worth and confidence and self esteem in particular, there's a lot of confusion because it's called one of the most messy fields of psychology. So you're not going to perhaps get all your questions answered,
Sure.
but there are different models, and how do you formulate it, and how does it grow, how does it evolve? And for the longest time we saw it as more of a cognitive model. So
Hmm.
it self-esteem comes from what you get and what people say about you and the rest of that. And somehow we kind of get hooked onto that model simply because it's much easier to measure, it's much easier to define,
Yes.
and we just think it's also easier to build. Okay, you say something nice to me, it'll raise my self-esteem, the kind of
Right.
thing, so
Right.
it's easier
Yeah.
to somehow grasp.
Hmm.
But the model that I follow, and that there's a lot of proof behind it, um, and which has contradicted the other model actually, is the affective model, where it says that confidence really, like you said, is a state of being. It's a feeling of trust in yourself.
Hmm.
Self-esteem is a feeling of trust that you have in yourself, of just being a good person,
Yeah.
or of being capable, that that you don't need to know that I am great at technology, you don't need to know I am the top person in my company at blah blah blah. You just need to know that I'm capable. I can learn this even if I don't know it, even if it doesn't go well, I can survive. I've got that ability, and at the end of the day I did my best, to have that
Yes.
thing of good heartedness in you.
Yes.
And so that is where it really comes from, but then it also begins very, very early on in our lives. So it's not even something that's in our heads, but
Hmm.
it's in our, not even in our hearts, it's in our guts, it's in our bones, it's in our bodies. It
Yes.
literally lives in our bodies.
Right.
There's another book that you may want to download, which is called "The Body Keeps the Score," and
Wow.
um, and at the end of the day, these kinds of feelings live in the body, which is why sometimes somebody says something to you and you can start crying. You
Hmm.
can feel that flush of shame. You can feel that anger, and it doesn't make sense in your head, but it is coming from somewhere viscerally much deeper.
A deep feeling. Yeah. 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 Wow. Wow. So, all in all, what we have to do is believe that we are capable. And it does not have to equate to what position we hold, where we are in life. It's just about believing in ourselves and knowing that, yes, we are capable. Yeah.
Totally. And even I would go even one step deeper than believe, because
Hmm.
even believe happens in the head. Trust.
True. Yeah. To
Trust.
trust it, to
To
trust it.
really trust that I'm a good person and I'm capable. Just
Yeah.
these two things. I mean, if you can really remember these two things, because these are the two essential components of
Hmm.
self worth and self esteem: goodness and mastery.
Wow.
I'm a good person and I'm capable.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Do you know, with so much about women empowerment and women going out today, we are everywhere. There is no field that a woman is not a part of,
Mhm.
everywhere.
Yeah,
I sometimes feel, or I have this question that are we trying to chase a lot? Are we chasing more? Because while we are chasing everything and, wanting everything, are we missing out on the real, tiny, important things? Because by nature, we are multitaskers. Nature has made women multitaskers. A male cannot do so many jobs at one time like a female. So by nature, we are multitaskers. So we can strive for position, for power, for money. We can do self discovery. We can do everything. But while doing everything, today we all want to do everything, are we depriving ourselves from the little joys of life? Are we losing it there? Do you think that's happening?
Jagriti, that's a beautiful question. I think to some extent it's happening to all of us. It's not just a woman
Hmm.
only phenomenon. We
Hmm.
live in a very distracted world where there is as much distraction as there's opportunity.
True. True.
You choose any one path in life, you could have done 10 others. You decide to be a nutritionist, you could as well have been an investment banker. You could do
Yes.
anything.
Yeah.
And there are opportunities as well. We can read, the world sometimes does feel like our oyster, right?
Hmm.
So there are so many good things. There's so many podcasts you can listen to. There are so many great movies you can watch. There's so many great books you can read. It always feels like we're falling behind,
Hmm.
and so we're always rushing from one thing to the other. So yeah, definitely I think that we are as a species missing out on the little joys of life, and it is really harming us because it is these joys that ground us, that
Yes.
make us, they
Yeah.
give us that little container to fall back into. And if you really open your eyes and sometimes just look around you, there's the entire world is supporting you, and we don't feel like that. It
True.
almost feels like we're running from a place of into a place of scarcity, and we need to get more. uh, when you talk about women in particular, it can happen because there's also a lot of things that we need to do. We are responsible for so many things: work and home and family, and your role as a daughter, and your role as a mother, for some, and role as a sister and a friend, and we're relational. There are so many other aspects. So yeah, so it can feel more so for women.
Hmm.
But the thing is that we can have it all. We can. That's the good news.
Yay! Yeah.
But I think what's really important is to define what have it all means for
Hmm.
us,
True. Yes.
right? And
Yeah.
so I think the biggest problem happens because we are defining the have it all from an external perspective, from
Hmm.
what society sees as a successful woman,
Hmm.
from what maybe mom saw as a successful woman,
Yeah.
from what that teacher defined as a successful woman, or whatever it is. But the point is, we have to know that, and
True.
that is not just written out on the wall somewhere. That takes a deep
Hmm.
inner journey of self discovery.
Yes. Yes. Wow. That's beautiful.
Mhm.
Again, coming up in continuation with what we were talking right now, as you said, that today it's all of us who want to get everything, on our plate. Even I don't think we have the appetite for it, but we still want like 8 course meal. I don't think we can
Yeah.
even digest it, but we want it all. So while we are so interconnected, we are very well interconnected today, sometimes we tend to be so disconnected with ourselves. And
Mhm.
these days there's so much that everybody talks about, that know yourself. Once you know yourself, only then you can grow.
Mhm.
Now, with all this chaos that is going on around, how easy is it to know ourselves? And is it actually possible to know ourselves?
Easy, it's not. Possible, it is. But I think the most important thing is it's really important to know ourselves,
Hmm.
because it's a huge responsibility. I think
Yeah.
the more we can have that sense of understanding
Hmm.
of our insides, um, the more there'll be ease and calm in the external world. I think a lot of the chaos that we're seeing in the external world, the divisions, the environmental crises, the social crises,
Yeah.
it's a reflection of our internal worlds. We are just way too divided inside. We are disconnected with who we are, and
Yeah.
if we are deeply connected, then there's that peace inside of ourselves, that lack of greed inside ourselves
Yeah.
will reflect in the external world. And the why I say it's not easy, Jagruti, is because nobody's going to give us the answer on a plate. We
Yes.
want that. We
Yes.
live in a
Yeah.
very impatient, tell me now,
Yeah.
three quick ways of finding out. So
Yes.
world,
Yes.
right? You
Yeah.
open any blog, any article, three quick ways of getting this, 10 easy ways
Mm.
of doing that.
Yeah.
Life is not easy. But it's a journey. You get so many years of your life to make that journey.
Mm.
So
Wow.
yeah, spend time on it. But that is, I think that is what we all come here to do. And it's not that it'll happen overnight, and it's
Mm.
not that the answer will be one and last forever. The answer will
Yeah.
evolve as well. But that is the journey of from where we are, wherever we are, whether it's birth or where we are right now, you where you are, me where I am, to the end. and
Yeah.
and that is the journey. Who I am will keep evolving as I keep take that journey. What I want will keep evolving as that journey. Uh, but it begins from coming back to who we are.
And I think through this journey and through the experiences we have, we tend to keep knowing ourselves, we keep
Yes.
growing in the self knowing journey
Yes.
because it so happens that there is a situation that's given to me, which I've never experienced in my entire life. But all of a sudden, to deal with it, I have this immense strength in me, which I never knew I had. So I think as we keep progressing in this journey called life, we keep exploring and getting to know so many different shades of ourselves, so many different sides of ourselves.
Totally, and that's beautiful. In
Yeah.
psychology, it's called the concept, this what your self concept is. Self
Hmm.
concept. Who am I? That's the self
Hmm.
concept, right?
Yeah.
And it's
Yeah.
made up of all these three things. It begins with who you really are, your real self. That determines what you want in life.
Hmm.
And then it's the self evaluation. Hey,
Hmm.
I actually did it. So this
Yeah.
is who I am.
Yeah.
I'm whatever, right?
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
then if what you want is not based in who you are, then it's going to be a much harder journey, and
Hmm.
that self evaluation will always be kind of negative. Oh, I could have done more. Oh, but she didn't praise me enough. Oh, but something or the other. So it never really builds that positive self concept. Or it could be a highly elevated self concept. Oh, I'm just awesome.
Yeah.
You have that too. And that is never helpful either.
Yeah, 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 true. We need to come back and, feel a little more grounded. Yeah, you're right. You're right. Through this journey of podcasting, I just began doing it in 2020 from May. And this journey has allowed me to connect with incredible people. And I have connected with so many amazing women who are doing great things in their own journey, in their own fields. Yeah. And the more that I've got to know them because of this. I have like 3, 4 conversations, and then
Yeah.
I read about their life, who they are. So I have known them probably in a much more deeper level
Yeah.
than what I would know them before.
Mm.
There is something that I've learned and unlearned about them in this journey. And there's a very common emotion that I have faced when I talk about these women to other people. So whenever, I'm talking to somebody, I'll be like, hey, you know what? This girl, she's amazing. She's doing this. And I've seen this common question that will pop up. Oh, is she married? Does she
Mm.
have kids?
Mm.
So somewhere, okay, it's some people ask, just they're curious to know,
Mm.
that, oh, she's doing all of this because she doesn't have responsibilities. And some, they just want to know, oh, but what's her personal life all about?
Mm.
So somewhere I feel that we tend to equate a woman's achievement to whether she is a mother or a wife or not.
Mm.
Now, somewhere I feel that we use these roles to define a woman.
Mm.
I just want to know that what do you think that what should define women? Should these things be a definition for who a woman is? Should we restrict it? Because I feel somewhere this is also a form of labeling that we do. How should a woman be
Yeah.
defined? And what defines a woman?
What defines a woman? I mean, uh, and what defines a man? What defines a cat? What defines a mouse? You can have your external characteristics, but I think at the end of the day,
Right.
everybody is individual, and the more we allow other people to define us or to label us or to categorize us in a box of a woman, the more we'll
Mm.
stay caged in that box. And at the end of the day, you have to understand who you are, and that includes certain qualities of being a woman. Maybe those are important to you, maybe they're not important to you, but it has to come from within you. uh, People will always talk. People will always want to know. We are social creatures, and it will affect
Mm.
us definitely. But it's also that, there is something known as taking in what somebody has said, and there's something known as being triggered by what somebody else has said, right? And when you
Right.
get triggered, it's only because it's not what they are saying about you, it is what you are saying to yourself about yourself. And so if you keep questioning, if I, you meaning not you as Jagruti, or I just mean any
Sure.
any woman, uh, I'm not married, or I don't have kids, or why don't I, and I should, and da da da, then somebody else is saying so will feel like you'll just feel that much smaller in that instant. And if
Yes.
not, then you can take it as a question. Maybe you can even reflect on it and think, oh, you know what, maybe it's time that I did pay some attention to that, if it's important to you. And if it's not, you'll say,
Yeah.
you know what, people will talk, and that's not important to me in my life. So yeah, so it is obviously we are social creatures. We live within society. Other people's, we need to hear what other people say. In fact, if we didn't, we'd become just totally egoistic and all about ourselves, which is not a
Mm.
good thing.
Mm.
It's just
Mm.
that balance. Does the other person's thing really trigger me? And even if it does, is it telling me something about myself? At the end of the day, Jagruti, always just be connected with yourself. If something affects you viscerally,
Mm.
question it. Why is that reaction happening? What is it telling me about myself? What is this an area that I should step into and question a little bit? Maybe, am I
Mm.
living in alignment with myself?
Mm.
And your answers will come up. They will be so different to everybody that I cannot give any definition of what a woman is or should be. It is so personally, it's so personally defined.
True. True.
At the you may have read another book for you, Five Regrets of the Dying by Bonnie. I forget her last name. At the end of the day, we'll only regret the life we didn't live.
True. Very
So,
true.
who are you? What is the life you want to live? And uh, and that is what's really going to matter. It's not,
Wow.
oh, was I a woman? Was I a this? Was I that? It would, only if that's important to you.
Yeah. Actually, you're right. You just broke it down in such simple ways, and you being so practical. Because when I asked you what defines a woman, you said, okay, the same thing that defines a man, that defines a cat. And that actually blew my mind. For a second, I was like, actually, you know what? This is right. So, because I think today there is so much debate about all of this, where we forget that we shouldn't get into these things about defining one another. As you
Yeah,
rightly said, that let's just connect with ourselves and
yeah,
define our own selves in our own way, because we cannot have the same definition for everybody.
yeah. No, no. There's a soul inside all of us. It's
Yes.
only the body that we can say, okay, this looks like this, but there's a soul. It's that soul that wants to come out in the world. We have to
Yeah.
give it a chance at least, right? That is what really matters. At the end of the day, even though those five regrets of the dying, they're the
Mm.
regrets of the soul.
The soul. Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful. I hope me personally starts giving a chance to my soul, and along with
Yeah.
everybody else who's watching this or listening to this, gives a chance to their soul. Thank you so much, Homaira. This has been amazing, and I absolutely loved every bit of this conversation. Thank you so much for being a part of it.
Thank you, Jagruti. It's been a pleasure. Thank you so much. And I really hope people will just take away one little nugget from it. And it's a reminder to all of us, me included, because the
True.
world just keeps going so fast that you keep running with it. But
Yes.
sometimes that is the best place to be.
Yes. Yes.
Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.